So the other film I watched tonight, it actually was a double feature, kind of. It was a short film and then a documentary by Errol Morris. The first one was called The Umbrella Man. It's from 2011, and it's just a short 7-minute film he made for the New York Times, interviewing. I forget who he was interviewing, but it's about the Umbrella Man at from the Zapruder film from the assassination of JFK, and the way in which he came forward and was like, here's why I had this umbrella. And it was a really funny story. And the man telling it had written an article before the Umbrella Man had come out and said, hey, it was me, here's why I did it, kind of trying to wrap his head around it. And there's all these conspiracy theories, and someone else had written this whole thing about how that was the gun that shot Kennedy in the neck. And then the Umbrella Man's like, yo, I did it because of this. It was this weird protest. And it was, the whole short is basically and a great little what's the word I'm looking for? Parable about how you can think the craziest reasons for things, the craziest, most sinister, horrible reasons for things to happen, and you will never guess how nutty and how interesting and how benign something might actually be. It's just a fun way of like basically saying, like, conspiracy theorists, yo, you can't even think of this. So it was fun. I enjoyed that. And then it kind of set a great tone for the next film, which is just a giant ray of sunshine. Like, I was so happy when I left this film. I'm like, I want to know more about this woman. I want to be happy. I want to, like, pet dogs. This was the B-side, Elsa Dorfman's portrait photography. Elsa Dorfman was a photographer, or is a photographer. She has an Wikipedia. She has a Twitter. Find her on Twitter. She was a photographer originally from New York, or was living in New York, briefly worked at Grove Press during the Beatnik era and became great friends with Allen Ginsberg. She did not like the scene there. She moved to Massachusetts, where she was a teacher for a bit, and then she became a photographer. She took some of the great early photographs of all these beatniks and Lawrence Ferlinghetti and all of those guys. What is that great poet? Robert Lowell, and Sexton, you name it, all these people from the 60s and early 70s. And then in 1980, Polaroid created the 20 by 24 foot giant camera, and she found her medium, the medium that the bulk of her career she would use. And she took portraits of famous people and portraits of regular people and a bunch of great portraits of Allen Ginsberg. If you've ever seen that Allen Ginsberg photo where he's naked standing in front of a photo of himself wearing a suit, that's her. Several of the photos that they showed of her, I was like, oh, I know that photo. She took these great photos of Ginsberg and Bob Dylan, all kinds of things. And she is a ray of sunshine. Her outlook on life is everything you want out of your photographer, out of anybody. I felt like I wanted to spend more than an hour and a half with her. I wanted to spend all the time with her. She just had great stories to tell about her philosophy, about photography, about why she loves photography, about the way life changes, the way things happen and you don't expect them, friendships, time, all kinds of things, all wrapped into one just beautiful, sometimes heartbreaking, but mostly uplifting bow. It was the whole human experience I feel like I experienced watching this documentary, and now I just want to know more about her, and that's what I think a great documentary makes you want to know more about its subject, especially when the subject is a portrait of somebody. And this is such a lovely Errol Morris style portrait of someone who does portraits, which is even more beautiful, I think. And Morris is from Massachusetts as well, so I'm sure he's known her for a while, and I'm glad. It's sort of like Pina, and how Wim Wenders used his medium and his style of filmmaking to write a love letter to Pina's style of dance. And this feels to me like Errol Morris using his style of documentary and his art in order to preserve her art. And it's just, I love that. I think it's beautiful. It's playing in a lot of limited places. If you can find it, I can't recommend this film enough. It was just delightful, and it made me leave the theater feeling so giddy and so happy, and I just wanted to like hug everybody and also listen to Allen Ginsberg read America because that's the best poem. And when can I go to the grocery store and buy what I need with my good looks? You know what I mean? That's a universal line. We've all felt that, right? And then I went to the grocery store, and Garcia Lorca was in the watermelons. Um, I'm just gonna read a bunch of Ginsberg now. Okay. Have a good night. Go find a movie that makes you shine from inside out, because that's what cinema should do. And this documentary really did that for me, and I just loved it so much. So I hope you guys have a good weekend. A biento.